Welcome to the Fantasy Champions Fantasy Football Podcast. What do we got today, Rick?
We got the Week 3 news and injury report.
Welcome to the Fantasy Champions Fantasy Football Podcast. Here's your host, Morgan Colby and Rick Lemon.
What's poppin', Fantasy Champs? How you doing, Rick? My name is Morgan Colby. I got Rick Lemon with me as always. How you doing, Rick?
Oh, just peachy.
Rick Cato. Oh, peaches again. We're talking like we should just start basing this podcast out of Georgia. So this peachy statement
just so I can get the slogan.
Have like justification to say the word peachy.
Dude, don't hate.
Oh, you know I will. You know I always will.
Yeah, true.
Today we have our Week 3 injury report and sprinkle in some extra news in there. It's a lot to talk about. As we discussed on the Tuesday show, there's quite a large amount of information. That is going to go straight back into this podcast. I mean, wow, what am I saying? That's going to go straight into your craniums about injuries and stuff that has happened and what you should do about it.
Wow, that's
straight into your cranium. So we'll jump into that in a second. Before we do, check out our website, thefantasychampions.com. Follow us on Twitter at the FFChamps, on Instagram at thefantasychampions. Like us at facebook.com/thefantasychampions. If you're listening on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, or any other podcasting platform, be sure to subscribe. Leave a review and share this podcast with your friends. And if you're watching on YouTube, be sure to subscribe. Wow, tongue twister. Click the bell for notifications, like, and comment down below any other questions that you have for the rest of this weekend.
Yep.
We'll help you.
Injuries, starts, whatever you want.
We also have an ad from our sponsor. If you haven't heard about Anchor, it's the easiest way to make a podcast. Let me explain. It's free. And there are creation tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or computer. So it's a very mobile situation. Anchor will distribute your podcast for you. It can be heard on Apple. So it can be heard on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, or any other major podcasting platform. You can also make money from your podcast with a no minimum listenership. It really is everything you need and to make a podcast all in one place. So be sure to download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started. So let's jump right into the news because our intro is 3 minutes long and we have no hook.
Yep. Unfortunately, we used to.
I wish it wasn't so long. Maybe I should do the ad at the end.
Maybe.
I'll tell you, usually when, not to diss a sponsor, but usually when I'm listening to a podcast or watching a YouTube video and there's an ad, I just hit the forward button and skip it.
What are you implying?
I'm not implying anything. Don't do that. Go over to anchor.com. And anyway, so we'll get to a lot of news for this week and just talk about what you should do, how you should respond, and what the situations might be for your fantasy team this particular week. I know it's disappointing for a lot of people who owned a lot of players. Whether the player got hurt or they just completely sucked for the second week in a row. So we're going to go through as much as we humanly can on this podcast. I don't know if I'm going to hit everything. I don't know if I got everything on this list, to be honest with you. I know the Chark news isn't in there. So Rick, you can tell us about Chark at the end.
Sure. But
we'll jump right in with.
Well, Chark already played. Actually.
That is true. That's why I didn't put Chark on here. I was like, why did I not put Chark on here? We'll see what happens. Pre-recorded, by the way.
Yeah, pre-recorded.
So if I talk about a player that's on Thursday night, forgive me.
Yeah.
So let's jump.
We've done it before.
It's true. It's very much true. It's the Dolphins and the Jaguars. So
hope it was a good game.
Hope you enjoyed yourselves. So the Colts wide receiver Paris Campbell, he was forced from Sunday's game. The stupid part is I was kind of partially watching this game. It was kind of confusing as like I kept on jumping games and all that stuff. So I completely missed that Paris Campbell got hurt. Halfway through the game, I looked at my fantasy app and I'm like, why the crap has Paris Campbell got 1 carry for 6 yards and no targets after like getting targeted out the wazoo last week? That makes little to no sense. And then I found out that he had a knee injury and he left the game. So The reports were that it wasn't a bad knee injury and that he was going to come back in a couple weeks and all this stuff. But now they're saying he is out indefinitely and he's been placed on the 3-week IR. So I don't know what any of that means. I hate when coaches are vague. It drives me freaking crazy. But with Paris Campbell out, how are you responding to this? What are you doing to... I mean, obviously, Paris Campbell was a bench guy for a majority of teams, unless you have like a super deep 5 wide receiver league. I don't know. Maybe some people do that.
I mean, if you got an IR spot, just put him in the IR spot and see if you can just pick up a different wide receiver that's out there. I know we talked about Monday the potential of like Michael Pittman.
Yeah.
I do think he wouldn't be a bad pickup, but it depends who's out there on your waiver wire.
Yeah.
We talked about on Monday some other guys that you could have picked up to replace them. So I wouldn't. There's so many good wide receivers that I think you can just pick up another one to replace them because it's not like you were probably starting them anyway.
Yeah. I would definitely pick up. What the?
Michael Pittman.
Michael Pittman. Thank you. I was going to say Michael, and then I'm like, is that even his name? I don't want to screw this up. My brain is not functioning today. It's just not functioning.
It's okay. It happens.
So Cam Akers, he was diagnosed with separated cartilage in his ribs. I feel like I have that every day when I wake up.
Especially if you went to Wendy's the night before. Oh my goodness.
Oh yeah, dude. So, but anyway, he had a separated cartilage in his rib cage, which I imagine is extremely painful. He is day to day, and he isn't expected to play Sunday, which opens up obviously a lot for Darrell Henderson.
Yeah.
And
Malcolm Brown as well.
Malcolm Brown also, I don't know if I put him in here, but he's dealing with some kind of pinky ailment. Here we go. I'll delete this out of here so I don't repeat it. But Adam Schefter is reporting that Malcolm Brown is expected to play in week 3. He had a finger injury of some sort. So he is expected to play. He'll be in the game. But because of that, I think this is a saddle up. This is where Darrell Henderson earns the backfield.
Yep. This could be a Darrell Henderson another week.
I would have told people to bid a lot more money on Darrell Henderson had I known about the finger injury to Malcolm Brown.
I think I told you about it on our...
Yeah. I don't react in real time.
No, you don't.
It takes me a couple days. No. So anyway, yeah, with Cam Akers out, obviously it's, if you own Darrell Henderson, it's a saddle up Darrell Henderson week, but
yeah,
I don't know that you want to start him yet. But just be watching that game and see if he can actually take over as the lead back.
Right.
Broncos quarterback Drew Lock is expected to miss 2 to 6 weeks with a sprained AC joint in his shoulder. So tough luck for Drew Lock.
You probably didn't have Lock if you're in a 1 quarterback league at least on your team anyway.
Yeah.
But if you did, yeah, he's probably worth a drop at this point. An IR, and if you don't have the IR spot available.
Yeah.
Font still looked decent though. With
Font?
Driscoll as his quarterback. Yeah. So I don't know if it really affects him as much as maybe
Jeff
some people
Driscoll.
are gonna. What'd you say?
I said Jeff Driscoll.
Oh, yeah. I don't know if it's going to affect him as much as some people. So I would still hold on to Font and just continue playing him. But that Broncos offense, man, like going into the season, there was so much hype for it.
Yeah.
And now it's like, it's just
right.
complete 180.
All right. Big news of the week, horrible, horrifying big news of the week. Part 1 is so Saquon Barkley tore his injury on a non-contact. I mean, he was contacted, but it was not.
Tore his injury. Tore his ACL.
Tore his ACL. Did I say tore his injury? This is a clusterfuck for me today. He tore his ACL on a non-contact injury, so no one touched his knee for it to pop. It just popped. This type of injury happens, but now you're in a second year where Saquon Barkley has gotten hurt. So obviously we have some news to get to in a little bit regarding what the backfield for the Giants is going to look like for the rest of the season. So saddle up and redraft. Obviously drop him. Don't keep him on your team. But in Dynasty, are you trading Saquon Barkley away now, knowing that he has an ACL injury and quad injuries, and the injuries are starting to stack up with this guy?
Yeah, it's definitely really concerning. It would be hard to trade him though and get equal value for him at this point,
Because of the injury.
You're in such a tough spot for Dynasty. I mean, redrafted obviously stinks too because you only have him for 1 year, but it stinks no matter what with Saquon. Right. That is a real concern because it's not his first injury. Like he was battling an ankle injury all year last year that caused him to miss a lot of time. The quad injury, now an ACL. It's a real crappy situation for anyone who owns Saquon in any league.
Yeah, I would consider. I mean, you don't have to do it right away. If you have an IR spot in a dynasty league or something like that. I mean, usually there's deep benches anyway, so you don't really need to worry about that. But I would just, obviously hold them on your bench because you can't do anything with them.
Right. But
wait until the off season and then start selling him in deals. Because his value, once the season ends, the value goes back up. So once the season is over, I would go and start talking to, running back needy teams or teams who are poised to compete for a chip and try to sell Saquon for a load of draft picks or anything else you need. So that's what I would do if I was in a dynasty league. But in redraft, obviously drop him. If you're in a keeper league, this scenario is a little bit different. Usually, as the season goes along, you'll find out which keeper you want to have. I like to go with a guy who broke out, who is a later round pick, as opposed to keeping a guy like Saquon on your team. But if you have the option to keep Saquon, you might do that. So I don't know. But, so you probably don't want to drop him at that point. But if you're in just a regular redraft league, you drop him and come up with a plan otherwise, because you don't have Saquon. David Montgomery, he suffered a neck injury but was able to return. Our writer Adam Hutchison had a write-up about David Montgomery if you want more information on the Montgomery injury on his Twitter page. So Monty obviously was able to come back, but there is concern that it is a little bit more than what they said it was. He's going to play this week, so I wouldn't be concerned about him being inactive or not ready to play. But it is something to keep an eye on in the future in case, not that a neck injury is going to creep up again, but.
Right.
So,
it is something to look at though.
Keep an eye on Montgomery. Jimmy Garoppolo suffered a freaking high ankle sprain. I think this is the second high ankle sprain of his career.
Is it really?
Yeah, didn't he have a high ankle sprain when he was with New England when Brady was suspended?
He might have. Yeah, I don't remember.
He missed a game, and then Jacoby Brissett came in, and that's why he went to the Colts and became a starter. Not specifically that reasoning, but you get the picture.
Yes, yeah. I think you're correct.
Anyway, so Garoppolo suffered a high ankle sprain. He's listed as week to week right now. So there is a chance that he does play next week, but this week they said that there's basically a 0% chance he plays. So I would be surprised if he suits up on Sunday and is ready to go, unless he has some kind of miraculous turnaround. They have Nick Mullins, who has been okay. So as far as your 49ers assets, they're probably going to run the football a lot. So that means good things for the running back. If you own any of the receiving assets on this team, I don't know where George Kittle's at with his injury, by the way. I didn't put him in the notes. Where is he at?
I can check. I haven't seen anything. I think he was practicing limited last time I checked. Yeah, he was limited at practice.
So I would be concerned. I mean, Nick Mullins, when he started in, George Kittle's breakout year, George Kittle was pretty good with him on the field. Right, so right. I feel like he's not somebody that you need to be concerned about, but obviously Kittle, this receiver core is already not a great start. So without Jimmy G, it's an even worse start. So I would avoid that, but hopefully he's able to come back sooner rather than later. 49ers coach Kyle Shanahan said Raheem Mostert sprained his MCL and that he likely won't play in week 3 against the Giants. In more 49ers news, so that means, and Tevin Coleman also. I will throw Tevin Coleman in this conversation. I don't know where I put him. Here we go. Falcons OC Dirk Cutter said, I'm sorry.
You're reading the wrong one.
I'm reading the wrong one. Anyway, Tevin Coleman is out, and he's been placed on a 3-week IR. I don't want to repeat that news, and I'm trying to find it in the notes, but I'm going to repeat it probably.
There you go.
But anyway, so he's out for 3 weeks now on the 3-week IR, and Raheem Mostert is likely going to miss this week, which means Jeff Wilson Jr. and Jerick McKinnon are the guys to start in this backfield. Yep. Especially against the Giants, I would start either one of them if you need a flex play.
I absolutely would start Jerick McKinnon this week against the Giants. I think it's such a crappy defense. And in a run-heavy, run-first type of offense, I think McKinnon could have a big week.
Okay. In other news, we had the Giants place Sterling Shepard on injured reserve, 3-week IR. He has a toe injury, so he's going to miss some time. You know what? I was so pissed off because I had Slayton. And Slayton had 25 points, and I was feeling good. 9 targets, 10 targets. Golden Tate comes back. He plays in the game. Slayton gets like 6 targets and like 5 catches or something like that, and he doesn't have a good game. So I dropped him. I needed a little space on my roster. I wanted to pick up another player. So I dropped him, and then Sterling Shepard goes on IR. So I'm like, okay, so now he's in the same position he was when he had the 25 points. All right. So yeah, as far as Slayton is concerned, he's probably if he's on your waiver wire, add him, and if he's on your team, he's probably not a bad guy to have at this point. But Sterling Shepard out on IR, so slide him into your IR slot.
Yep. And watch out for Tate too in redraft. I think Golden Tate had a decent week, I want to say, with targets wise. So
yep.
He could be someone. And with Barkley out, they're probably going to throw the ball a lot.
Oh, thanks. You found it for me.
What'd you say?
I said you found it for me.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I put it up.
I deleted it.
Yeah, he had 5. Golden Tate had 5 catches this week. So
yep.
Watch out. I mean, he could be a decent play for redraft as well. Going forward.
We also have Cortland Sutton, who is placed on injury reserve with a torn ACL ending his season. This injury was a cluster of a situation. Yeah. He got hurt, and they were talking about him coming back into the game. I don't know if he did or not. But
they mishandled this situation.
They were saying he was going to be back, and then after the game, they said he had a minor knee injury. And then, I wake up on Monday morning, and I find out that they did an MRI and that he has a torn ACL and he's done for the season. So this must have been like a very because sometimes you can tear your ACL and not know it. I know it sounds freaking insane, but something like that can happen. Like, he obviously knew that he was hurt, but the pain wasn't so severe that it would lead them to believe that he had an ACL injury, whereas Saquon was all over the place. He was like, oh my God, my leg. But so for Cortland Sutton to be done for the season, obviously that freaking sucks. Anybody that drafted him in the 5th, 6th round, hoping that he was going to be a breakout, you got to drop him now. You got to get him off your team and come up with another option. They said they want to get KJ Hamler more involved.
Sure.
I wouldn't target KJ Hamler. I would target Jerry Jeudy. In this offense. You also have Deshaun Hamilton, who not a lot of people ever talk about, but he might get more opportunity. But with Drew Lock out, I'm not really ready to start anyone in this offense.
Yeah, if you're going to start anyone, Font has been really solid. I think he has like 17 points in half PPR.
I was going to ask if Joe Flacco is still on that team, but he's not.
He's not, no. I think they signed Blake Bortles, though.
Yeah.
So
he might start
that's not exactly great news.
Interesting.
Any Broncos receiver tight end.
Yeah, that's true. The Panthers, in the second piece of large heartbreaking news, Panthers running back Christian McCaffrey had an ankle injury on Sunday. I watched the play, and I don't know what happened because he ran into the touchdown and then he celebrated, and he looked fine. And then after the game, they announced that he was it was more severe. It was an ankle sprain, and it was more severe than they thought. He is expected to miss 4 to 6 weeks. That's the timetable. So they're going to move him to the IR, and he'll be out for at least 3 weeks. Mike Davis is going to start in place of him. Obviously, we talked about that on Wednesday in that situation. So I think he's, at least a high-end RB3 flex play at this point. For Mike Davis, that is. As far as Christian McCaffrey, hold him on your injured reserve. Wait, and hope things go the way you want them to. But he's going to be out for a little bit of time. You know what that opens up? That opens up opportunities for Jonathan Taylor and Miles Sanders to both be top 3 running backs.
Does this have a
Rick,
fantasy team?
Ezekiel Elliott is the best running back in fantasy football right now.
I disagree.
Who's the best running back?
Alvin Kamara, baby.
Oh, okay. No, it's Ezekiel Elliott.
Okay, fine. It's one of them.
The Chargers team doctor. This is insane. So Tyrod Taylor, I talked about this on the podcast earlier this week. I saw Mr. Justin Herbert, who I was elated that he was starting the game. We got to see him play, but they said that he was going to play, and I thought it was just them making a surprise switch last second to kind of throw the other team. I don't know. And then we found out that Tyrod Taylor had chest pains, and he had to go to the hospital. And so according to reports, the Chargers team doctors accidentally punctured Tyrod Taylor's lung while while trying to administer a pain-killing injection during the game. So
that's so unfortunate.
Tyrod Taylor should sue the Chargers for everything they own. First off, for freaking sticking a needle in his lung.
Yeah, geez.
That's horrible. And so now the team doctors they're probably like, oh, we should probably not play him this week because
yeah, we kind of did that.
We kind of screwed up. So I mean, Justin Herbert is going to play this week. I don't think Tyrod has a chance to play for another week. If Herbert does have another really good week,
it's hard to go back.
It's hard to go back to Tyrod Taylor. And unfortunately, something freak like that happens to everyone. Tom Brady got his big start in the NFL because Drew Bledsoe got smashed into the ground and had internal bleeding. He had to go to the hospital after the game and almost died. It's like horrible situations like that lead to somebody coming in and taking the job. And I think that's what ultimately is going to happen. I mean, Herbert looked fantastic on Sunday. So
yeah, especially for a rookie.
For a rookie. Chris Godwin was removed from the league's concussion protocol, so he's good to go this week.
That's good.
Saddle him up, get him ready to go. If you own Mike Evans, frick you.
Hey.
I did have the Henry Ruggs thing in here. Henry Ruggs, he had some sort of knee situation. Don't know really what it was all about, but he's expected to play week 3 against the Saints.
It's not against the Saints. It's against the Patriots. They played the Saints this week. Or this past week, I should say.
Was that on Monday Night Football?
Yeah.
You've got to be kidding me. They literally put the wrong team name in there. Whatever. So he's going to play this week. Don't worry about it. I literally hate people sometimes.
I hate people sometimes.
The Broncos signed Blake Bortles to a 1-year contract, as noted above.
I told you.
It was in here somewhere. Speaking Tuesday, Titans wide receiver coach Rob Moore was non-committal on A.J. Brown's knee/bone bruise week 3 status. Mm-hmm. So just watch that situation closely. I don't know that I would start A.J. Brown this week at all. Giants agreed to terms with running back Devonta Freeman, formerly of the Atlanta Falcons, $3 million contract. His agent had the nerve to go out and say that he had other higher offers. Please. With who? If he had higher offers, he would have signed him last week.
Right. I don't think he had many offers.
I think he should be owned. Longer term play for the rest of the season, I think Freeman is going to be good, and especially in the pass catching area of the Giants offense. But the Giants have a terrible offensive line. They can't really get the ball moving on the ground at all. And I don't think Freeman's going to have success. If he couldn't have success in Atlanta running the ball, there is really no chance that he's going to have success in New York running the football. But it is a good landing spot for him to get opportunity at least. Definitely worth an own. And if he does end up breaking out and having a Devonta Freeman season, then you got a good one. But
right. Yeah. He's worth the roster spot, but I don't think he's, especially early on, I think he's going to struggle learning the offense and getting an opportunity.
Okay. Let's quickly end this section of the pod and send it off for the week and wish everyone a happy week 3. Sammy Watkins tweeted that he was healthy after taking a helmet-to-helmet shot from Los Angeles.
That's good to hear. That looked like a bad injury.
Denzel Perriman. Yeah, he looked He walked into the sidelines and his eyes were like squinted, and I'm like, wow, he's zoinked.
Yeah, it looked bad.
Yeah.
I'm good to hear that he's
okay. Steelers coach Mike Tomlin said Deontay Johnson has a lingering toe injury. Not sure what that means. He usually is very vague on that. Dirk Cutter said he believes that Julio Jones' hamstring is more than they let on. So Julio might have a not good hamstring injury.
Calvin Ridley. Gage season.
I was going to say Calvin Ridley, but okay. It's already Calvin Ridley season. Sorry. Eagles are expected to place Jalen Reagor on the 3-week IR. He actually might be out longer than that. AJ Brown's knee injury. He didn't practice Wednesday. So up to the AJ Brown news, just keep an eye on that. And then Will Fuller might play.
Yeah. That's
as we talked about above.
Optimistic about
optimistic about it. So there's your news really quickly. Your Friday news to get you prepared for the week. Happy week 3. I hope you get your win. I hope you get your dubs. Don't forget to check out our website, thefantasychampions.com. Follow us on Twitter and Instagram, and we'll talk to you on Tuesday, Fantasy Champs.
Good luck.
Thank you for listening to the Fantasy Champions Podcast. Make sure you subscribe on iTunes and YouTube, and follow us on Twitter @TheFFChamps.